It's interesting when you hear someone talk about a guy in a way that like you might agree with, but the mouth that it's coming out of is so punchable.
You hate it a lot.
Yeah, that you're like, oh, there's no chance I'll ever agree with what's being said here.
Right. What's the backstory to this?
I'll tell you the backstory. It seems like Ethan Klein wants people to like him, so he just jumps on any train that drives by. I guess Ethan Klein has ripped the Nelk Boys to shreds. You know the Nelk Boys?
Yep.
My favorite thing they've done is interview O.J. Simpson, even though they didn't really get any good questions in.
Yeah, they also got banned from YouTube for a while for the Trump interview.
So yeah, they have happy dads. They're very successful, these guys. And I'm blanking on this guy's name. Bradley. What the fuck's this kid's name?
I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, he's sharp, folks. He's the backbone of this program. Well, this guy, whose name hopefully they say in one of these clips, who's one of the Nelk Boys, had Ethan Klein on. And if you don't know Ethan Klein, he hosts the H3H3 podcast.
Steiny and Sneeko?
No, I don't think that's him.
Live in New Hampshire.
I don't think he's Sneeko.
All right, let me see here.
It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. But Ethan Klein is just kind of an asshole that doesn't really have opinions. It's more he just wants to be a shit stir and yet also wants people to like him. So I guess he trashed this kid that's interviewing him, one of the Nelk Boys.
His name's Brad.
What's up?
His name's Brad or Steiny, one of those two.
It's not Bradley Stein, is it? It can't be. It
says Brad and Steiny.
Okay, it's Brad. So Brad apparently had an interview with Andrew Schulz that people criticized, and Ethan Klein saw this as his opportunity to make nice with the guy who's interviewing him because he's spineless, and also dump on Andrew Schulz, who isn't in the room. So perfect mix of opportunity for Ethan Klein here.
You've ripped me multiple times.
Yeah.
You've ripped me like 5 times, bro.
We gotta.
I've never said one. I've never said one negative thing.
So here's what I'll say about that.
Well, which time? Because you ripped me a lot.
Good for this guy, honestly, for calling him out for it. And this is like pretty much right out of the gate where he's like, yeah, you shit on me a lot, Ethan. Did you think I wasn't going to mention that?
Well, Ethan never gets called out on anything. And you could tell. Do you ever see the Bill Burr clip when he was like, the fuck's the matter with you?
Yeah. I mean, Ethan says some wild stuff. Like during the Rogan controversy, he went crazy.
Yeah.
And like, he never explains any of these things. He doesn't back up his words. And I'm sure this will be a thing where eventually, if Schulz ever calls him out, Ethan will do the spineless thing where he'll talk shit until he can't anymore. And that's what he's doing with this Brad guy.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm kind of like a messy, petty. So I've ripped a lot of people. So I don't specifically remember, but I am in a phase of life where I am in the mood. Or I think it's good to build bridges and talk to people who you can connect with.
Oh, that's weird because this guy happens to be in the room. Let's see if you torch a bridge with anyone else in this interview.
Yes.
That's interesting. That you're in a mood to do that only with people who can enhance your brand by having you on.
That's right.
Particularly, you recall?
You ripped me for Schulz.
Okay.
Bad, which was a crazy take on your part because I know you didn't watch the whole thing and you were going with the majority. I personally think.
I quite frankly don't know the backstory between this guy and Schulz, but the way he's calling out Ethan Klein makes me like this kid.
No, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
So I have a response to that. You're right. I agree. At the time.
What a spineless creep.
Does Ethan Klein have something up with him?
What do you mean?
He's twitching a lot.
Oh, I don't know enough about him. Maybe he's always like that. I have no idea.
I feel like you guys are very, for my audience, very hateable, just because it's just the antithesis of everything that our community is, and that's not necessarily a fair assessment. I think looking at Nelk fairly, you guys are obviously representing a more bro-y culture, but that's not necessarily bad. And
it's weird that you've only taken the opportunity to look at this fairly when he's in the room with you. Yeah, that's so weird. What a crazy coincidence that the one time you've chosen to look at this fairly is when he's on the show with you.
Yeah. He's like, fuck, he remembered.
But here's the thing is if I had fucking whoever on, Schaub, let's say, like I probably wouldn't be as harsh as I would be if he wasn't on the show, maybe. But like, I don't go crazy hard at Brendan Schaub. You know what I mean? Like, we make fun of him. I don't think I say anything about Brendan Schaub that I couldn't defend why I said it or why I thought that way, or anyone, you know, whoever you want to, Stuttering John or whoever. Like, I think I can defend everything I say about these people, whereas Ethan Klein goes nuts on people.
Yeah.
Calls them Nazis and white supremacists and all the hack stuff that you do to insult someone and take them down. And then when he's with them, he's like, you know what? Like, you guys don't necessarily represent what we represent, but there's nothing wrong with that, actually, now that I think about it.
Nicola in the chat said he has Tourette's, and I looked it up, and he does have Tourette's.
Oh, way to go, Craig.
I didn't say anything bad. I said, does he have something wrong?
He said, look at this twitchy creep. He said he's probably on drugs. You were clearly hinting at that. We all felt it, and I moved on right away.
He was either nervous or he had fucking Tourette's. Found out.
Said, look at Retzi over here, is what you said. And I said, I don't really like to make jokes about things like that. Craig.
His name's
Roll back the tape.
You guys are obviously representing like a more bro-y culture, but like that's not necessarily bad. And so I think my criticism of you guys really started around like COVID, around like opening the gym and like having like riots outside of Martin's gym. But like now that stuff's passed by and like, you know.
Yeah, now that you guys were clearly right about certain things and my stance was indefensible.
Now that you
know
were
what,
right.
you guys aren't so bad.
No, you're right, and you're 4 feet to my left.
Yeah. You know, sure, I called you guys fucking Nazis. but now that we're in the same room and I can't really defend my point on that, I think you're a pretty good guy.
Just kind of doing their best to navigate through those really crazy times. So I've become less judgmental, I think, in that regard. And in some cases, I was too harsh on people for sure. But it was a crazy time.
Yeah, you were harsh as fuck on me on that.
He's like, yeah, no, let's stick on that. You were harsh.
Oh, does he expect people to be like, oh, I forgive you?
That's really what I hate. And it's why I liked Dave Smith. Did you watch his debate with Cuomo, Chris Cuomo?
I saw clips. I didn't watch the whole thing.
It's very good.
He buries him.
It's watch the whole thing if you ever get a chance, because it's very good. And the reason I liked it is because Dave kept pointing out, and I will say the one thing I didn't like is Dave Smith and Patrick Bet-David kept using the word like apology, and I don't think that's necessarily what like that put a weird feel on it. Like Chris Cuomo had to apologize. It slanted their argument in a way I didn't love. But the reason I loved what Dave did was like, you can't just call for people to be fired and call for their lives to be ruined and then just go, yeah, it was a crazy time. We were all saying a lot of things. You know?
I've been quite complimentary of Chris Cuomo lately because he seems to be not red-pilled, but not completely brainwashed by where he was.
Well, that was actually Dave Smith's contention, is you don't get to now come on and be like, hey, you guys were right, man. Hey, crazy, right? Like, we were all saying crazy stuff.
See,
No. Like, you went after Rogan. You went after people's jobs. You talked about how people should be fired for not getting the vaccine, all this stuff. And you were wrong. So you should like walk that back. You actually should apologize for that stuff.
See,
and again, like asking for an apology just feels like a weird thing for a comedian to do. But I totally understood why he was doing it. And I liked that he was doing it.
Yeah, but you also you wanted them to think normally, and he's finally doing it. Why would you fucking be like, no, you're not allowed to? Like,
well, because Chris Cuomo was saying we didn't do anything wrong.
Right. But I mean,
you did.
I feel like if you wake up, you wake up. Like, I understand being brainwashed.
Yeah, I guess that was Cuomo's point. I would recommend you watch it. I thought it was very good, and I liked Dave Smith's point. But point being, I guess you're not on my side on this one, because my point with Ethan Klein is like, you fucking trash these people, and now that you're in the same room with them, you get to be like,
with Ethan Klein, you can hear the phoniness just pouring out of his mouth right there. That's the difference.
Cuomo does seem more genuine than Ethan Klein. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Where Dave Smith really whopped him though was when he was like, he's like, I never said that, and he's like, pull up the clip.
They play a 6-minute video.
But this is his apology here.
Okay.
FO.
Yeah, and I'm building towards an apology.
Okay, I'll let you continue.
So, so like, yeah, I think I had some bias and prejudice against the Nelk Boys. Other than the COVID, I think you guys did some weird like roulette stuff. I don't even know if you were part of the gang by then. That seemed kind of scammy, but like that's all been long ago. And creators, I mean,
This is what I hate when people do. And Brad is about to refute this. This is what I hate when people do when they're like, I trashed you, and there was some stuff. I don't even really remember. It was some crazy stuff. Like, but you know what? I'm over it. It's like, no. You said horrible things about me. You don't get to be over it.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's not for you to be over. Like if I spit in Craig's face, and the next day Craig brings it up to me, I'm like, Craig, I'm so over that, man. We're still talking about this.
That was yesterday.
But don't even worry about it. I've moved on.
It's like, dude, you got that pissed and you can't even remember why. If I get
Right.
that mad about something, I remember exactly why.
Right.
been long ago. And creators, I mean, what creator isn't running a scam these days? Pound it, bro.
Crazy. That's a crazy non-apology.
No, I'm not. I didn't
Holy
apologize
shit.
yet. I didn't apologize yet.
That was funny.
That's just a joke.
That was funny.
Yeah, he's trying to be funny, but like, it doesn't really come off that great.
You got denied on the pound it too, which is very funny.
But you know what? Like, to your point about Cuomo, there is something to be said for like Ethan Klein realizing he's wrong. Like, if he just went on and did that, I wouldn't even be playing these clips. I wouldn't give a fuck about any of this. What I find interesting, he's like, listen, way back then, you remember way back then? The ancient times. Back then, I was fucking crazy, man. I said, oh, did I say some wacky things? You know Ethan Klein of yesteryear. He would burn bridges.
Right.
He would say unkind things about people. He'd fly off the handle for no reason. Anyways, let's get into Andrew Schulz.
I think that I was just riffing off that and being like, who the f- is this Steiny guy? And trying to be funny mostly.
Sure.
But I think what changed is I've learned a lot about Schulz, and I think he's actually an asshole.
Oh, good. Well, at least you're not saying any crazy shit anymore.
It seems like it wasn't Brad, it was Steiny.
At least you're not just flying off the handle about people you don't know. And listen, I don't know Andrew Schulz. Maybe he's an asshole. but 2 minutes ago, we heard this guy go, listen, I said some shit I shouldn't have said about you, and I apologize for that. You know what? I've grown. Anyways, who's not in the room? Andrew Schulz. We burned the Schulz bridge.
I've seen the way he talks to his guests. He's been in things with like a few guests where he just comes off as such a asshole. And I mean, I off the top of my
But
head.
hey, you know what? This is all fine. If you like, we talk this way about people. I talk this way about Chris D'Elia or the fucking Joe Matarese or whoever. Fine to talk, but have that energy. Don't come on a guy's show who you shit on and go, you know what? I shouldn't do that anymore. I shouldn't be that guy anymore. And then in the same fucking sentence, he wasn't done apologizing to these idiots before he went in on Schulz. Like, you're literally saying I shouldn't do that to people. Anyways, this Schulz is a real piece of shit.
Them, I could certainly recall them if I thought about it for a minute.
They go on to like use Shane as an example of him being an asshole to his guests.
Right.
And it's like,
they're friends. Schulz is in Shane's show.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this whole thing.
Yeah, don't have pity for Shane Gillis when you know Ethan Klein would have been fucking eviscerating him in 2019.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he did, actually.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably did. Online trend. I don't remember this one.
Oh, so I think Ethan says something very telling here. Let's hear it.
Wait, going back and watching that interaction, I feel like I can see it more clearly that like he's being such a colossal douche to you.
Yeah.
And totally unwarranted. I don't know why he had to. So I'm on your side and I apologize, especially if you're going through it.
You see what's happening right now?
I do hate to make people feel worse when they're in a bad spot. And like, you didn't really deserve. You didn't do anything wrong. You know, you're
Okay,
just
but
sitting
wait,
there.
can I ask you this?
Sure.
I like this kid.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to the Nelk Boys now, but I like this kid where he picks up on something that's happening where he's like, so I don't know enough about the Nelk Boys to know the trend that's happening online, but I do know that people are starting to turn on Andrew Schulz and call him out for all sorts of different things. And Ethan Klein may feel the tide turning on there. And Brad, or whatever his name is, picks up on that immediately. I like that I'm a fan of this guy now, and I don't even know his fucking name. But Nelk Boy.
Steiny, I think.
Yeah, one of them.
I think that a lot of people are starting to say that online and like are noticing what you're just noticing.
I am not connected with that at all. I have
Okay.
no idea what
So
people
you're
are saying.
Oh, no, not at all. You're not tapped in online. Your whole presence isn't on the internet.
I'm a free thinker.
Oh, gee. Oh, are people... Oh, God. Is there a subreddit that shits on Andrew Schulz day and night? I didn't realize that. Oh, no. Are more and more people making fun of Schulz? Has he gotten so big that obviously the tide would now start to turn on him? I had no idea. God damn it. I wish I had my finger on the pulse just once.
Trending and you're going with, no, I mean what they're saying about Schulz.
Oh, I don't know what people
Because a
say
lot of
about
people
Schultz
are kind of-
either.
there's
Well,
some
who gives a if people are hating Schultz? I mean, then
Oh,
why
geez,
doesn't
I
that-
just stumbled into the opinion that everyone has on this guy. Whoops.
Oh, is that
Whoopsie daisies.
Is that what's happening? Why I feel like I have armor and can say whatever the fuck I want on him?
Oh my God. Oh, I gotta tell you, I was worried I was being too edgy. I didn't realize everyone hated this guy, and it was now comfortable for me to shit on him, kind of the way it was comfortable for me to shit on you during the pandemic.
It's gonna be Ethan in a second. Be like, guys, his haircut, ass.
Listen, buddy. If you thought that I opportunistically shit on you during COVID because it was kind of the easy take to have that would get me praise, and now that I'm in the room with you and the tide is kind of turning on you and I'm shitting on Schultz because that's sort of a cool opinion to have, and I could be at the forefront of that. What? That's a wild theory, buddy. I don't know where you came up with that.
that he's a giant douche?
Yeah, no, I was just curious if like this is something you're actually going with the trend or this is a genuine.
No, it's a genuine feeling. I feel like that one is more. That's a sourced, informed opinion that I don't like him.
Based on what?
Internet trends.
You just so you watched his show, and that's a so. If I say Ethan Klein is a cunt right now, that Ethan would acknowledge that because I watched this interview, that's a sourced and formed opinion.
Yep.
Like I'm going based on nothing other than this one interview. Really, well, and other things I've seen of Ethan Klein's in the past, but just like what's online.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of that, and this is a sourced and formed opinion. He's not citing things behind the scenes. He's not talking about an interaction he had with Schultz or anything. He's like, I watched his show, and he was somewhat rude to Shane Gillis once.
Yeah, they hate each other. But here's the other guy just giving Ethan like an example, and then he's gonna be a big timer.
All right.
Only beef with Schulz is that I went on his podcast almost 3 years ago now, and he's like, "Yeah, when I come to LA, I'll come to yours," and he hasn't.
That's the kind of guy he is. He's a big.
How would you know that, Ethan?
That's the kind of guy he is. That's what I'm saying.
The kind of guy he is. What, inviting someone on a podcast and then getting probably too big to respond to his own DMs?
Yeah.
That's not that crazy.
Now the Nelk Boys are probably the same size, I think.
Sure, I get that. And like maybe I don't know their relationship. Maybe that was rude of Andrew. But again, for Ethan to jump in after having this whole speech about how he wants to be more aware of, like, hey man, that was wrong what I did to you. Anyways, that's the exact kind of guy Andrew Schulz is. This anecdotal information you've presented me, that's how I know him to be as a man. That's the fabric of his being.
I don't think I like this other guy with the hat. Not the guy that you've been praising. The other guy. He's like, you know what I don't like about him? He had me on his show. Is essentially what I'm hearing.
And then he was supposed to do my show and didn't. It's not petty at all. Again, Schultz could be an asshole. I don't know the guy. I just don't care for this this approach to it.
Big time guy. Like all of a sudden, he won't shut the fuck up about selling Madison Square Garden and like that he's.
Here it is.
Oh, there's a little jealousy.
I gotta tell you guys, if I ever sell out Madison Square Garden, it'll be the only thing I ever talk about.
Of course. Like, again, you could make fun of things Schulz did, like the video he made with his dad, who I guess his dad actually has Alzheimer's, which made me feel bad about making fun of that video. But, whatever. No harm, no foul. But, like, there are things that Schulz does that are definitely corny and mockable. But what you're saying, Ethan, is that he's a bad human being.
Right.
And your example of that is he sold out Madison Square Garden and promoted it. That's kind of his entire thing. That's how he got to where. That's how he sold out Madison Square Garden, is promoting all the sold out shows that he does.
This piece of shit sold out Madison Square Garden. He was proud of himself.
Can I tell you something? I have a feeling Ethan Klein's not a big Tony Hinchcliffe fan either.
He's a real dick.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
Coming to comedy, and like he'll do your show or you'll do his show, and then a year later he's like, I'm too big for Bradley. He's that kind of guy.
How do you have any idea of that, Ethan?
He had him on his own show, which by this definition would be a bigger platform.
Right, that's a good thing. Can I tell you something? I would much rather do the Flagrant podcast than have Andrew Schulz on here.
For sure. Not even a debate.
It's not close.
Not even a debate.
It would be nice. That video would probably get more views than our usual podcast. But having me on his would expose me to millions of people.
That's right.
So you sometimes be thankful for the opportunities people give you, not beg for more. And listen, I know it's a different situation. The Nelk Boys are a lot bigger than me. So maybe they don't need to go on Andrew's podcast as much. But you see my point ultimately. Is like, that seems like a very petty reason to be like, this person's a piece of shit.
For sure.
All right. Well, yeah, Ethan Klein seems like kind of a douchebag. Does that wrap that up just about?
I can't believe you said that.
Well, you know what? If I ever have him on, I'll apologize.
Good.
And he has to accept it.
That's good of you.
Yeah.